It's always a party at Patchworks. Let's get this party started. Woot, woot. Hi, everyone. This is Julie from Patchworks, and I am so excited that you are here to join us for our very first presentation in 2021. We are going to be here every Thursday night in 2021 on Thursdays at 7 p.m. for what we're calling Must Sew TV. So our first presentation that we're going to be sharing with you is our new club, We Heart Tula Pink. So what's We Heart Tula Pink, you say? Well, we love Tula Pink fabric. And there's this quilt that you might have heard of. It's called Nebula. And we thought, let's take the best of everything and mash it together into a really fun club. So this pattern here that Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts designed is really designed around fat eighths. Well, if you've been watching our programs for a while, you know that we love fat eighths. And in other clubs, 8 fat eighths is a magic number for us. So I thought when I saw most of these blocks are designed around 8 fat eighths, what a perfect launch pad for a new fun club for us. So what we have in our membership offering for We Heart Tula Pink is 8 fat eighths every single month that will either be used for a Nebula quilt, pattern available separately, or you can work on some other fun projects. Now, if you need more than just a fat eighth, well, we're offering fat quarter bundles, half yard bundles, and yard bundles. The other thing that you're going to be getting is some original content, and the best part, 20% off of Tula Pink fabric all year long. Oh, can you believe it? 20% off of Tula Pink fabric. That is so exciting. You're going to get news on the latest fabrics that we're getting. And just so that you know, we are going to be stocking all of the true colors, which are the basics, for as long as they're available. So we have a bunch more on order right now, including the dots and tent stripes. And then we have a full order of line work coming back in stock. It's been a little delayed, so I'm not quite sure when it's going to get here, hopefully in the next month or two. And then we have Curious and Curiouser coming in, Holiday Homies in Flannel this summer. And Tula has some new solids coming out. So we'll be carrying all of Tula solids, including the new ones. And of course, anything else that she has to share, as well as our full library of in-stock prints from previous lines. So that's really, really exciting. So do you want to see what we have to show you for this month? All right, let's get started. So, as I said, for club members, you're going to get 8 fat eighths. This particular pack corresponds with block number 1 from the Nebula pattern. I went ahead and I made the 2 blocks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refer you to Jaybird's videos, and I'll include links available at the bottom of this as well as in your membership email, because Julie does a fantastic job showcasing her rulers as well as construction tips on how to put these blocks together. Super simple. I put these together in a night. Just full disclosure, I have used the rulers before, but I was super excited that they went together really, really easily. Couple tips that I have for you is I prefer to always pre-treat my fabric with starch. My favorite starch is Quilter Starch Savvy by June Taylor. I really love the nozzle. It is unscented and it gives really nice body to the fabric, as well as is unscented, so I don't have any allergic reactions or stuffy noses from after spraying my fabric. The other thing that I like to use, I borrowed Julie's favorite color, and she prefers to piece with Aurifil color 2600, which is Dove Gray. So that's wonderful. And then favorite needle for precision piecing is the Schmetz Microtex 7010. So we carry these in stock all the time. A set of fresh, sharp pins is always wonderful. And we have them here, my quilting pins, number 2509 from Clover. Very nice, nice and long. And I love a magnetic pin cushion for those. So it's a brand new year. Go ahead and treat yourself to some sharp pins, sharp needles. If you don't have color 2600 or a different light gray in Aurifil thread in the 50 weight, I'd go ahead and get that, and also pick up a bottle of starch. While you're at it, make sure to grab a new sharp rotary blade to make sure that you are cutting easily and working to have your best piecing forward. All right, so our little kit here gives you ample fabric for making the blocks, but you have a little bit of fabric left over, okay? And we decided for our fun project, we were going to make a binder cover to get you started on the new year and be able to keep all of your Tula projects together. Oh, how fun is that? I did add some of my favorite fabrics in here, so I'll show you how to make this. All right, if we look overhead, you'll see that the beautiful heart that is in the center here comes from the Decorative Stitches quilt. So the Decorative Stitches quilt is a pattern that's available for download from the Free Spirit website. Club members, I did include a copy of this pattern in your packet, and there are a bunch of really amazing shapes in here. We're going to focus on the heart, which you can see right here. I went ahead and I did a fussy cut in here to make sure that I had my favorite little snips here. Isn't she so cute looking through the scissors there? I think it's so fun. I added in this dark solid that I used for background and binding and the spine of my binder. This wonderful background. I love, love, love the handprint. And a little bit here for my heart. For the inside here, you could use any fabric that you chose. I decided to go ahead and use this beautiful fabric. So I got a 1/2 yard of the solid, the background, and the fun scissor print. And I used the rest of my fat 1/8 pack for these stripes. To get this stripe out, and you'll have all of the cutting instructions in your pack, you are going to use your fat 1/8, and this is a 3.5 inch strip, and you're going to need two 2.5 inch strips for your nebula block. So you're going to cut your 3.5 inch strip first, and then two 2.5 for your nebula blocks, and you will use up your 4 pink fabrics for your binder cover. You'll have leftover fabric for your blue fabric. With the 3.5 inch strips, you're going to arrange them in an order of your choosing and sew them in long strips. And then we'll be cutting off what we need in order to make the back of our binder and the inside cover. I'm going to show you what I used on the inside of my binder. And I used this soft and stable that we have here. So it's this foamy stuff. That's a very technical term, foamy stuff, that has a knit kind of adhered to it on both sides. And you can hear my very dry hands maybe scratch on it. So what's really nice about it is that things naturally stick to it. And I did not use any spray adhesive as I was working with this project. So I cut for my binder a rectangle that was 12.5 by 23.5, and then 5.5 by 12.5 for my two ends. So you can see how this would layer together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover both sides of these with fabrics, and then I'm going to bind it with just binding in order to finish it up and hold it together. So we were talking about this unit right here that I put together with 3.5-inch strips from my Fat Eighth pack. So I have the print, a solid pink, and then I don't have the colors off the top of my head. I should have written them down, but you can see the beautiful 4 fabrics. 3.5-inch strips, you're going to sew the strips together, and we'll be cutting a rectangle for the back of our binder, and then a small piece that we'll use on this inside cover, and then you have a little bit left over that you can save for another fun project. The best part of this project is this heart right here. Let's talk about our heart. For our heart, you are going to need from your focus fabric for your heart, you're going to need a 5.5 by 6.5-inch rectangle, 2 1.5 by 3.5-inch rectangles, 4 1.5-inch squares for your connector corners for the top of your heart, and 2 3.5-inch squares for the connector corners for the bottom of your heart. For these small rectangles here, you put them together by taking a square and putting it on top of the rectangle. You're going to use your quick quarter ruler to draw your line and stitch your line. When you press it back, I am going to have you cut away the back, especially if you're using a dark color so that it doesn't shade through your light of the background. We're going to repeat on the other end so that you end up with a unit like that. And you'll repeat it again so that you have 2 tops of your heart. For the base of your heart, you're going to take your larger square, use your quick quarter ruler, draw your line, sew. You are going to cut away your excess, press, and repeat on the other side. And then you will finish the bottom of your heart. You will notice here that you do have a 1/4 inch from the edge so that when you piece it in, you'll have a nice point to your heart. You will piece together. I don't have 2 finished ones here, but we can pretend, right? Okay, so this is your top, and you can see this is wider. So we're going to piece these together. After it's pieced together, it will measure 6.5, and you'll put the top to the bottom and press. And then you have a heart. We'll talk about fussy cutting, how I made mine, in a moment. But to make this beautiful top here, all I did is I framed it out with some strips that matched my cornerstones here, and then I trimmed it down to size before I attached it. When I had put each side on, I positioned my spine right in the center, and then I stitched and flipped each side, did some light stitching down, and then bound it all the way, making sure that my little pocket on the back was in place. Very fun. So the magic is, how on earth did I get this heart in here? And oh my goodness, isn't this interesting? I fussy cut this and the pattern seems to continue. Ooh, fabric magic. Ah, I'm a magician. So how did I do that? Well, we started with a beautiful piece of fabric and the homemade snips, Getting Snippy print here. As I said, I got a half of a yard, and this motif prints the length of the fabric, and you can see that we have them scattered. To find out where my 6.5 fell, I took my Big Daddy ruler, and this is 6.5 inches, which is the width of what I needed that rectangle to be. Half of 6.5, oh, this is a tough math moment, is 3.25. If you need, go ahead and put a sticker at the 3.25. Then what I did is I decided I wanted to see where this was going to lay, and so I took the 3.25, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I lined it up at the open spot of the valley of the scissors maybe, and then I checked to make sure that it would line up through the needle, and then we come down here, and then I scooched it to see below here if we had it all the way. I want to make sure it was nice and centered. Okay, and I can see, I think you have a little bit of a glare here, but I could see that I had the full flare from the side of the scissors, and then I could get the crown. I could just, the whole part fit within the width of 6.5, so that's really exciting. What I did then is cut. All right, so I cut my 6.5. Then what you're going to want to do is flip your fabric, not flip your fabric, flip your mat. I don't want to flip my mat here. So what we're going to do is I am just going to quick hop around and cut the other side. I'm going to be reaching. I don't suggest that you reach as far as I'm reaching, but you know, we want to make sure you can see it here as we're doing it. Okay. So that is one beautiful fussy cut piece. Okay. So what we're going to need to figure out now is that we need that 5.5 by 6.5 inch rectangle. So for perspective, this is the size. Okay. So you're going to want to see, do I want to have this showing, or do I want to see more of the crown? What is important to you? I chose in my sample that I wanted to have as much as the scissor be the main part of the heart, and then I would attach the upper part. So, but I lost most of that crown, which some of you might think is the more important part. Your choice. So what I wanted to do is that I needed to keep in mind that I had a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I took my ruler and I figured out where did I want my top to be, looking at where my 1/4 would fall. And I wanted to make sure that it would be as high as possible, okay? So if I wanted my 5.5 to be here, I would just go ahead and cut, okay? Does that make sense? And then we would go ahead and measure below. So I went ahead and I had cut one that was exactly to the specification, but I just want to show you how we got here. So that's how we got to the strip. After we got to the strip, I subcut my rectangle. Okay? All right. So now the question is, how do we put on these pieces so that it looks like a continuous piece of fabric? And that would be called, I call it wallpapering. I don't know if that's really the term or not. So I did pre-cut, but I'm going to position it, so we'll talk through it, how we actually did that. It's a little tricky, and hopefully you'll be able to see what it is that we did. Okay, so you can see here that I cut one out, so you will need a total of 2 strips of this. So that's why we said we need a ½ yard. So this fussy cutting stuff is not for the faint of heart, and it does use up a little bit of fabric, but sometimes you want to do that for effect. Okay, so I have my one motif. I'd probably be able to get some of it out of this bottom one, but I'd need my second strip to get my other part. When you are working with a piece like this, we were talking about our seam allowance. So our seam allowance is going to come in like right to here, right? Okay, so that means that when we are looking at putting a piece of fabric with it, okay, I can't cut from up here because that's not going to work. I need to then cut in a ½ inch, and I know that sounds weird, so it's a 1/4 plus a 1/4 to end up with what I need. So I'm going to just show you this one, which we came down a ½ inch, so that when we piece it together, stitch, 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 press, okay, it lines up. So when you're coming in, you need to come in a ½ inch. I know that sounds weird. So how do we find out where that is? We have our beautiful piece of fabric lined up, and we're going to lay it on and find out where our piece is. So let's use this guy here because it's together and not apart. We're going to pretend we haven't cut it yet. And you can see I'm matching up my pattern. I'm matching it up, match, match, match. Looks really good. Make sure on the bottom we're matched up too. Okay, so I want to come in and cut a ½ inch down. I don't want to trim that off, so I need to make sure that I have a line. So draw a line here or use a piece of tape. I'm going to use a piece of tape so that you can see it from up above. And here we go. I have a piece of tape. Okay, the bottom of that is my line. So what I would do is I would take my ruler and come down a ½ inch. So I'm going to line up my ruler on the bottom of that tape and cut. You want to make sure to still be cutting perpendicular from your body. You don't want to cut across because that could be bad, okay? And then you're going to cut your 1.5 inch strip. So that's where we come up with the unit that looks like this. Okay, do you see that? Now, here's the trick. You need 1.5 inch by 3.5, remember, because we had over in our original heart how your 2 halves had to go together. So we're going to have to do it again because 1.5 inch by 3.5 is over half of that, because we lose the center part in the seam. Ah, I can't believe it. So I know our pretty Tula that we're cutting up. So we're going to repeat the same thing down here and then cut the 3.5 rectangle from this side. So the pieces that we actually use, are you ready for it? From 2 strips of fabric, this and that and that. Okay, and this is what you're going to put together as being the 3 rectangles for your heart. So I'm not being crazy when I'm saying you probably want a ½ yard of fabric so that you can position it where you need to, and then you'll have a little bit extra fabric to do something else with to be able to have your shapes, okay? And then you'll put your connector corners on the bottom, your connector corners on the top, piece this together, and piece it there. The piecing here that I have on my finished heart here, I was a little off. If you look super, super close, if you've never ever done it before, you can hand stitch in and just continue until you are pleased with the level of perfection that you require. I thought the naked eye from a little bit farther away really couldn't see it, so I was comfortable with my level of precision here. So that is how you fussy cut. Whew. That was a lot of work, but it can be so worth it. And this is one of the ways that you would go ahead and fussy cut for piecing. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that little bit of an overview. The big takeaway here is that you have to account for those seam allowances. If you don't account for the seam allowances, you're going to be really, really sad. So we took our base piece, and then to come on top of it, we needed a ½ inch. And that's what the mind bender is. A lot of times we only think in 1/4 inches. And the reason why you need to come down a ½ inch is that you need to come for 1/4 and 1/4 on the other side. And if you don't believe me, you can just try a piece of fabric that's not as near and dear to your heart in order to see how it actually works. Sometimes that's what we need to do. So that was a lot of fun. What do you think? So every single month, we're going to be talking about our nebula block. We're going to be getting our tips and tricks from Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts, because who better than the designer? Make sure to join her Facebook group, which is the Nebula Facebook group. Really awesome. We also have our very own new Facebook group. It is called Patchwork Party. Woot woot. You can see it from our page, and it has this sign here as the header photo, which is super fun. So that way you know the dancing sock monkeys, you're at Patchwork's the right place. We'll be having fun, different featured programs every single Thursday night at 7 p.m. for Must Sew TV at Patchworks. And we also are going to be having other fun little things along the way, but you can know that our scheduled content is going to be on those Thursdays. So the first Thursday is going to be We Heart Tula Pink. Second Thursday is going to be My Favorite Color is Moda Block of the Month. Third Thursday is Moda University. Fourth Thursday is Aurafill Club. And if there's a fifth Thursday, we'll make sure that there's some other fun things. For when we come back in person, don't worry, we absolutely will be returning to weekend sessions. We just knew that it made no sense to film videos and broadcast them for when you could be in the store. So instead we had them when you couldn't be shopping. So we hope that you find that this schedule works for you. You can always watch us on Facebook as well as on YouTube. I encourage you to like and share our photos and videos so that more people can enjoy with us. And the one thing we're going to close with today is a giveaway. Oh, yay, a giveaway. We haven't had one of those in a while. So I went into my stash and I found this pretty, beautiful piece of fabric. And so let's look at it from overhead. This is a fat eighth of an out-of-print original Tula True Colors that is the beautiful, this orange and pink ladybug. And it really matches the colors that we were playing with today, so I thought it would be great to work along with it. How fun is that? So, how can you enter to win this piece of fabric? So, in order to win this beautiful piece of fabric, enter to win by liking this post, sharing this post, and that's it. So we are going to be pulling a winner from the likes and the people who like and share. We're going to be pulling that winner on Saturday afternoon, Saturday, January 9th, right? 9th, is that the day? We don't even know what day it is. So this Saturday, we are going to be pulling a winner at 4 o'clock. So you have until 4 o'clock to like and share to have a shot to win this gorgeous piece of fabric. Yay! So thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed the program. If there was anything that you'd like, you can purchase it online, you can call us and we can fill an order, or you can come on in. We're open Tuesday through Saturday for your shopping pleasure. If you prefer not to come in store and are local, feel free to give us a call or shop online and we can arrange for contactless delivery to your trunk. Have a great day, happy quilting, and we'll see you soon.